Imagine this. You're finally gaining momentum in your life. That side hustle you've been working on, it's starting to make a bit of money. Those gym sessions, you're seeing definition you've never seen before. Your relationships, they're starting to feel more authentic and deeper than you ever imagined. And then, something strange happens. You start to pull back. You revert to those old habits that you tried so hard to remove from your life. As a result, you miss deadlines. You stop showing up, and you begin to stop doing the very thing you've been working so hard to create. Despite seeing the positive results that you worked hard for, those destructive behaviors seem to work their way back into your life, undoing all of your hard work. Does this sound familiar? Well, there's a quote by Carl Jung that says, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And no, this isn't just about a lack of motivation. It's about something much, much deeper. It's a mysterious psychological force that millions of people struggle with, but never talk about. It's called self-sabotage. It can be compared to an invisible hand pushing you away from the very success you desperately want. And here's the truth about all of this. It's not your fault. And don't worry, you're not broken. There's an unconscious mechanism at play that's been calling the shots without you even knowing. But what if I told you there's a way to understand this force, to take back control? Well, in today's video, we'll be taking a deep dive into the works of the Swiss psychologist Carl Gustav Jung. He spoke extensively about self-sabotage and uncovered the hidden psychological mechanisms that keep millions of people trapped in cycles of self-destruction. By diving deep into the human psyche, Jung revealed something revolutionary. Self-sabotage isn't a personal failure. It's a complex communication from your unconscious mind, a message waiting to be understood. In this video, you'll discover the psychological blueprint that explains why you keep stepping back from your own success. And you'll learn how these patterns were created, why they persist, and most importantly, how to finally break free. Born in Switzerland in 1875, Jung emerged as a titan of psychological thought during a time when understanding human behavior was still in its infancy. While his contemporary Sigmund Freud focused on sexual repression, Jung saw something far more complex. The human psyche is a vast, multi-layered landscape of meaning and potential. As a Swiss psychiatrist and the founder of analytical psychology, Jung broke away from traditional psychoanalysis, pioneering groundbreaking concepts that would reshape psychological understanding for generations to come. His most profound contribution, the idea that our psychological struggles, including self-sabotage, are not random failures, but meaningful communications from our deeper self. Jung believed that psychological health doesn't come from eliminating parts of ourselves, but from courageously integrating all parts of our inner world. Self-sabotage, in his view, wasn't a weakness. It was a sign, a messenger from the depths of our psyche, asking us to pay attention to something we've been avoiding. When it comes to self-sabotage, Jung would say, "This isn't about punishment. This is about understanding. This is about listening to the hidden parts of yourself that are desperately trying to communicate something important." But here's the burning question. If these self-sabotaging patterns are actually messages from our deeper self, where do they come from? How do they take root so deeply that they can completely derail our success without us even realizing it? Most importantly, how do we prevent it from happening? Allow me to explain. Let's dive deep into the hidden machinery of your mind. Why do you consistently step back from your own success? Or feels like no matter how hard you try, you get in your own way and stop yourself from experiencing the success you want? Well, let me make this clear. It's not weakness. It's a complex psychological survival mechanism deeply rooted in your earliest experiences. There's a powerful psychological principle that captures this perfectly. Give me a child until the age of 7, and I'll show you the man. This isn't just a saying, it's a profound understanding of how our fundamental psychological programming is developed when we are children. Imagine your childhood as a factory of beliefs being developed. During those formative years, you're not just learning language or basic skills. You're absorbing an entire blueprint of how the world works. Every interaction, and every subtle message from parents, teachers, and society begins to construct what Carl Jung calls our social mask, and simultaneously our hidden shadow self. Here's how it works. You discover something is not allowed in childhood. These forbidden desires aren't eliminated. They're banished to the subconscious. But they don't disappear. Instead, they reside in the shadows, secretly dictating the course of your life. Let me give you real-world examples. Were you taught that money is inherently bad? You might unconsciously resent successful people or sabotage your own financial opportunities. Told that showing emotion was a weakness? You might develop patterns of emotional shutdown that prevent genuine connections. Criticized for being too loud or too quiet. You might self-regulate yourself right out of meaningful opportunities. Can you see the pattern? This shadow self operates like a hidden puppet master, causing you to act in ways that fundamentally misalign with what you truly want. It's not a conscious choice. It's an unconscious survival mechanism developed in your earliest years. And the most mind-blowing part? You're not even aware it's happening. Your self-sabotage isn't a personal failing. It's a complex psychological defense system that made perfect sense when you were young, but now keeps you trapped in patterns that no longer serve you. In order to stop self-sabotage, we're going to follow what Carl Gustav Jung instructs. What he says is simple. We must focus on integrating the shadow, not suppressing it. But how do we do this? There are 3 core methods Jung developed for confronting the hidden parts of ourselves. These aren't just techniques, they're psychological excavation tools that allow us to understand the deepest, most mysterious parts of our psyche. Think of these methods as a map to your inner world, a way to shine a light into the darkest corners of your unconscious, where your self-sabotaging patterns have been hiding. First, let us focus on active imagination. Imagine discovering a hidden passageway into the most unexplored regions of your inner self, a direct communication channel with the fragments of your psyche you've kept locked away. Active imagination is a transformative dialogue with your unconscious mind, a deliberate descent into the symbolic landscape of your deepest self. Jung understood that our unconscious speaks a language beyond words, a dialect of images, feelings, and archetypal whispers. Active imagination is about creating a bridge between your conscious mind and these unconscious communications. You enter a meditative state, but instead of pushing thoughts away, you invite them in. And then, here's the magic. You engage in a dialogue with whatever emerges. Instead of pushing thoughts away, you welcome them. Invite the shadows, the forgotten characters, the unspoken parts of your mind that you suppress. Visualize them with radical curiosity. Then comes the true alchemy, engagement. Imagine sitting face to face with a part of yourself you've been avoiding, not with judgment, but with profound compassion. What would this hidden aspect of your psyche say? What story has it been desperately trying to communicate? This is not about fixing. This is about listening, about creating space for the parts of yourself you've been too afraid to acknowledge. Are you ready to hear what your unconscious has been waiting to tell you? How your unconscious speaks to you? Dreams, according to Jung, are the road to the unconscious. They're not random. They're not just neural noise. They're a profound communication from the deepest parts of your psyche. Every dream is a letter written in the language of symbols. That recurring nightmare. The strange character that keeps appearing. They're not just dreams. They're messages. Fragments of your shadow self, desperately trying to get your attention. Jung taught us to look beyond the surface. A dream about falling might not be about literal falling, but about losing control in your life. A dream character who terrifies you might represent a part of yourself you've been rejecting. By carefully examining these symbols, by listening to the narrative beneath the narrative, you start to integrate the parts of yourself you've been running from. And finally, let us look at projection recognition, Here's a truth you must understand. The things that trigger you most intensely are your greatest teachers. When you feel an instant visceral judgment about someone else, Jung would say, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Those intense emotional responses, they're not about the other person, they're about you. They're windows into the parts of yourself you've disowned, pushed away, and refused to acknowledge. The colleague who you think seems arrogant, the friend who you find annoying, the partner who seems emotionally unavailable. These are mirrors that are reflecting back the unintegrated parts of your own psyche. Projection recognition is an act of radical self-honesty. It's turning that critical gaze inward and asking, what does my reaction reveal about the parts of myself I'm not willing to see? Because here's the thing. Jung tells us there is no healing, there is only letting go. This is the key to stopping self-sabotage. When we stop trying to fix ourselves and instead surrender to our complexity, transformation begins. Self-sabotage thrives on the illusion that we must perfect ourselves, but true liberation comes from radical acceptance. Letting go means releasing the exhausting narrative of who you should be. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's a part of you that's been waiting to be understood, to be heard, to be integrated. This isn't about healing as a destination. It's about presence as a revolutionary act of self-love. Are you ready to let go? So far, we've explored the depths of self-sabotage, peeled back the layers of our hidden psychological patterns, and discovered something profound. Your self-sabotage isn't a weakness. It's your personal messenger. It's your inner self trying to communicate something vital about your journey. As Carl Jung beautifully said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And this isn't a journey of fixing something broken. This is a journey of discovery, of understanding, of becoming. Your unconscious patterns have been protecting you so you can survive, but you've not been created to survive. You've been created to thrive. Every single moment is an opportunity for transformation. This is not about perfection, it's about progress, about compassion, and about understanding the beautiful, complex landscape of your inner world. Your self-sabotage has been speaking to you. And now, you're finally ready to listen. Are you prepared to step into the most authentic version of yourself? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That step is understanding that you are far more powerful, far more resilient, and far more capable than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Your transformation starts now.